Lex had always loved making a statement. Whether it was his bold taste in music, his eclectic art collection, or most notably, his one-of-a-kind custom car. A wild fusion of neon colors, sharp geometric patterns, and sleek chrome accents. So when he finally closed on the cozy two-story house nestled in Willow Creek Estates, he parked that car right in his driveway, ready to show the neighborhood what individuality looked like. Willow Creek Estates was the kind of place that looked like it belonged on a postcard. Manicured lawns, identical beige homes with tidy white fences, and not a single thing out of place. For years, its HOA rules kept the streets whisper quiet and uniform. But Alex was new here, and he didn't exactly fit the mold. The moment he rolled into the neighborhood, the usual calm seemed to crack. Neighbors peeked from behind curtains or leaned out of their front doors, eyes darting to the flash of neon. Green and electric blue painted across Alex's car. A few whispered to each other, clearly unsettled, but Alex was oblivious, his excitement drowning out the murmurs. After all, it was his car, his art, and he'd spent months designing it. To him, it was a celebration of creativity in a place that desperately needed some color. That first evening, as he unloaded boxes, his phone buzzed. "Hello?" Alex answered. "Mr. Turner?" The voice was crisp and formal. "This is Diane Caldwell, president of the Willow Creek HOA board." Alex paused. "Yes?" "We've received multiple complaints about your vehicle. Its design violates the community's aesthetic standards, and we require you to remove or modify it immediately." Alex blinked, unsure if he'd heard right. What? It's just a car." Ms. Caldwell's voice was steady, unyielding. "Our guidelines clearly prohibit any modifications that disrupt the uniform appearance of the neighborhood. Please consider this a formal warning." Click. Alex stared at his phone, disbelief crashing over him. A car. The police weren't involved yet, but the HOA's warning felt like a gauntlet thrown down. He glanced at his car, gleaming under. The street lamp, vibrant and proud. The next morning, word had already spread. As Alex stepped out for coffee, a small crowd of neighbors had gathered, eyes shifting between his car and him. Some looked curious, others disapproving, but one thing was clear. The calm of Willow Creek had been shattered. Later that day, as he watered his front lawn, Alex noticed a strange car slowly cruising past his house. It was dark, windows tinted, and it circled the block twice before disappearing. His heart quickened. Was the HOA watching him already? He shrugged it off and tried to focus on unpacking, but the unease lingered. That night, lying awake in his new home, Alex thought about the strange phone call and the letter taped to his front door, an official-looking document warning of community standards violations. His mind raced with questions. Why was his car such a big deal? What made this quiet neighborhood so fragile that a splash of color could trigger alarms? And most unsettling of all, who else was watching? As the moonlight spilled over his driveway, illuminating the bold curves of his car, Alex realized this fight wasn't going away anytime soon. Something about this place had already changed, and he was at the center of it. But if the HOA thought he'd back down, they hadn't met Alex yet. The next morning, Alex awoke to an unsettling quiet. The usual chorus of birds was replaced by the eerie silence of a neighborhood that suddenly felt more like a trap than a home. He stepped outside, determined to face whatever was coming next. On his front porch lay an official-looking envelope, with the Willow Creek HOA seal stamped in deep red. His heart pounded as he tore it open. The letter was short, but its message was clear and chilling. Dear Mr. Turner, it has come to the board's attention that your vehicle's design violates the community's aesthetic guidelines and negatively impacts property values. You are hereby ordered to remove or modify the vehicle within 7 days to comply with HOA regulations. Failure to comply will result in fines, towing, and legal action as necessary. Alex reread the letter, disbelief mixing with rising frustration. A 7-day deadline? For a car he loved? He glanced down the street. Neighbors peered through their blinds, their eyes sharp and unyielding. It was clear the HOA had the neighborhood on high alert, and Alex was the target. Determined to understand the scale of this hostility, Alex spent the day observing. He noticed strange cars parked just around the corner. They didn't belong to neighbors. Their dark windows and the way they stayed put for hours made Alex's skin crawl. Later, walking his dog, he caught a glimpse of a man in a hoodie snapping pictures of his car from across the street. The man disappeared quickly when Alex looked directly at him. The paranoia crept in. That evening, while cooking dinner, Alex's phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number read, "You don't belong here. Change the car or face the consequences." Alex's blood ran cold. This wasn't just about HOA rules anymore. It was personal. He wanted to call Diane Caldwell back, demand answers, but something held him back. The HOA seemed to have more power and more secrets than he'd imagined. Trying to shake off the unease, Alex scrolled through online forums about HOA disputes, stories of neighbors clashing, rules enforced to absurd extremes, even harassment. But nothing quite like this. Most conflicts were about paint colors or lawn ornaments, not outright surveillance and threats. That night, Alex set up his phone to record his driveway. If the HOA or someone else wanted a fight, he'd be ready. Hours later, as the neighborhood sank into darkness, his phone buzzed with a notification. Motion detected. On the video, a shadowy figure moved slowly along the curb, staring at the car. The figure paused, then reached into a jacket pocket. Alex's heart jumped. Was it a threat, a warning, or something worse? He grabbed his keys, ready to confront whoever was out there, but the figure melted away into the shadows. Sleep was impossible. The next morning at the local coffee shop, Alex ran into an elderly neighbor, Mrs. Jennings, who had lived in Willow. "Creek Estates for over 30 years. Your car's causing quite the stir," she whispered, glancing around nervously. "Do you think the HOA is spying on me?" Alex asked cautiously. Mrs. Jennings sighed. "The HOA here? They protect the neighborhood like it's a fortress. They've always been suspicious of anything different. But lately it's gotten worse. You're not the first to get that letter, just the loudest." Alex nodded, a chill running down his spine. Returning home, he found another letter taped to his door. This one was handwritten and more direct. "We're watching. Remove the car, or else." Alex realized this wasn't just an HOA dispute anymore. This was a war he hadn't signed up for, but one he couldn't walk away from. As dusk fell, the strange cars returned. This time, one parked just across from his driveway, engine idling quietly. Alex stared back, fists clenched. The game had begun. Alex woke up feeling the weight of the neighborhood's gaze heavy on his shoulders. The morning sun barely lifted the thick fog of unease that had settled over Willow Creek Estates. His eyes immediately darted to the driveway. His car still gleamed defiantly under the pale light, untouched and vibrant as ever. But this time, it didn't feel like a victory. It felt like a target. The letter's threat hung in the back of his mind. 7 days. 7 days to make his car vanish or face consequences. But Alex was stubborn, and this car was more than metal and paint. It was his statement, his identity. Over breakfast, his phone buzzed again. Another message from the anonymous number. "Compliance is not optional. We're watching." He slammed the phone down. Determined not to let fear win, Alex decided to take the fight head-on. He logged on to the HOA's community forum, hoping to find others who had faced similar battles. Instead, He found threads filled with praise for the neighborhood's clean look and warnings to newcomers to respect the rules. Suddenly, the comments turned personal, thinly veiled insults about loudmouths and rule breakers. It was clear the HOA had a strong grip on public opinion here. Later that afternoon, while mowing his lawn, Alex spotted something new. Faint, tire marks in the grass beside his driveway. Not from his car. Someone had driven onto his property, leaving a clear message that boundaries here were more than just lines on paper. As the sun dipped low, Alex noticed neighbors he hadn't spoken to before were avoiding eye contact, crossing the street when they saw him. Whispers followed him wherever he went, growing louder and darker. At the neighborhood pool, a woman approached, her voice low and urgent. "Alex, you need to be careful. The HOA's influence runs deep. They've made examples out of people before." "Examples?" Alex asked, heart pounding. She hesitated. "People who stood out. People who didn't conform. You might think it's just rules about paint and lawns, but it's really about control." That night, as Alex lay in bed, he heard the soft crunch of footsteps outside. Peering through the blinds, he saw the shadowy figure from before, now closer, circling his car with a flashlight. Alex's breath caught. Was this harassment? Intimidation? He considered calling the police, but hesitated. Was the HOA powerful enough to manipulate local law enforcement? He wasn't sure. Days passed with no direct confrontation, but the silent war escalated. Mysterious notes appeared on his windshield, warning him to comply or suffer. Security cameras were installed on neighboring homes, all pointed toward his property. The paranoia was suffocating, yet Alex refused to retreat. One evening, while reviewing footage from his own security camera, Alex caught a startling glimpse of a familiar face, an HOA board member, Mr. Grayson, slowly approaching his car, inspecting it with a grim expression. He seemed to be taking photos. Was this evidence gathering or something more sinister? Alex's phone rang suddenly. It was Diane Caldwell. "Mr. Turner," she said coolly, "your modifications are unacceptable. We've received new complaints. I suggest you reconsider your position." "I'm not moving it," Alex shot back, anger flaring. "This is my property." "Then you leave us no choice." Alex's heart sank. The next morning, police cars rolled into the neighborhood, their lights flashing silently but ominously. Officers approached Alex's home, hands on their hips, demanding to inspect the vehicle. Neighbors watched from their windows, murmuring excitedly. Alex was led outside, confused and wary, as officers asked questions he didn't know how to answer. "Is your car a hazard?" one asked. "Has it been reported stolen? Is it involved in any illegal activity?" Alex shook his head, his voice barely steady. "No, it's just my car." The tension was palpable. As the officers left, the crowd outside buzzed with speculation and judgment. The HOA's message was clear. The fight had moved beyond neighborhood bylaws into something darker. Alex knew he was standing at a crossroads. Would he back down, or would he stand firm, no matter the cost? The sun had barely risen when Alex's phone jolted him awake. Multiple texts from neighbors, all buzzing with the same frantic energy. "Police are at your house." "What's going on with your car?" "They're asking questions." Heart pounding, Alex scrambled out of bed and rushed to the window. Sure enough, 2 police cars sat idling at the curb, officers pacing in front of his house, their eyes sharp and alert. He grabbed a jacket and stepped outside, hands raised in a calming gesture. "Is there a problem?" he called out. One of the officers approached cautiously. "Sir, we received a report about a suspicious vehicle parked in this neighborhood. We need to ask you a few questions." Alex's stomach tightened. "That's my car. It's custom designed, yes, but it's not suspicious. I live here." The officer nodded, professionalism masking any judgment. "We just need to be sure." As they questioned him, Alex caught sight of Diane Caldwell watching from her porch, arms crossed, her expression unreadable but undeniably satisfied. The neighbors gathered silently, a mix of curiosity and judgment hanging thick in the air. Whispers floated on the breeze. "Is this really about a car?" a woman muttered behind her hands. "Or is there something else going on?" Another voice whispered. The officers took photos of the vehicle from every angle, scrutinizing the neon paint, the decals, the sleek chrome trims. Alex tried to stay calm, but his hands trembled as they asked for registration and proof of ownership. "Everything's in order," he said firmly, hoping to end the ordeal quickly. But the officers weren't convinced. One radioed dispatch, requesting a background check. Minutes stretched endlessly. Alex's mind raced. Had the HOA somehow twisted the situation to make him look guilty? Finally, the lead officer lowered his clipboard. "No issues on your record, sir, but we need to ask you to move the vehicle temporarily while we complete our investigation." Alex's jaw clenched. "I won't move my car. It's legally parked." The officer's eyes hardened. "Sir, if we have to, we'll have the vehicle towed." At that moment, Diane stepped forward. "Officer, the vehicle is a violation of our HOA guidelines and has been the source of complaints. This isn't just a police matter. It's a community issue." Alex glared at her. "This is harassment. You're using the police to enforce HOA rules." Diane smiled coldly. "I'm just doing my job." The officers conferred quietly and decided to let Alex keep the car for now, but warned him that if further complaints arose, they might have to intervene again. As the police left, the neighborhood's energy shifted. Some neighbors clapped quietly in approval, others shot Alex suspicious looks. The silent war had escalated to an open conflict. Later that day, Alex found another note on his windshield. This time, it was typed and precise. "Consider this your final warning. Compliance is mandatory." He crumpled the note in his hand, fury bubbling beneath the surface. That evening, at the local grocery store, whispers followed him through the aisles. People he had never spoken to before gave him icy stares or veiled threats. Even his mail carrier hesitated before handing him the letters. Alex realized the HOA's campaign was far more organized and ruthless than he'd imagined. Back at home, he reviewed his security footage, hoping to find a clue, an ally, anything. What he saw chilled. Him. A shadowy figure lurking near his car, not once but multiple times. Someone had been prowling his property for days, unseen but very present. Was this the HOA? Or something darker? With the neighborhood watching his every move and the police now involved, Alex's quiet life had been shattered, but giving up wasn't in his nature. As he stared at his car, gleaming defiantly under the porch light, he whispered to himself, "They don't get to decide who I am." The fight had only just begun. The following morning dawned cold and gray, a mirror of the chill that had settled over Willow Creek Estates. The quiet neighborhood was no longer peaceful. It was a powder keg, ready to explode. Word of the police visit had spread like wildfire, and the community's tight-knit facade was cracking. Alex stepped outside to find a cluster of neighbors gathered by the mailbox, their faces shadowed with whispered debates and sideways glances. Some offered him sympathetic nods, but others scowled, their eyes filled with suspicion and resentment. At noon, the HOA called an emergency meeting at the community center. The usually bland and orderly gathering was anything but that. The room buzzed with tension as residents packed the seats, eager to take sides. Diane Caldwell, the HOA president, opened the meeting with a firm tone. "We're here to discuss the ongoing situation with Mr. Turner's vehicle," she announced, eyes sweeping the room. "Our goal is to maintain the standards that protect our property values and community harmony." Murmurs erupted. Some residents nodded, others shook their heads. Alex sat near the back, fists clenched. A man named Harold, a longtime resident with a reputation for traditional views, stood up. This isn't about creativity or individuality. It's about respect for the community. We didn't buy here to live in a circus. A few voices chimed in agreement, and the atmosphere thickened. But then a woman from the opposite side, Clara, a younger mom who had recently moved in, spoke up. Alex is our neighbor. We should celebrate uniqueness, not punish it. What happened today with the police? That wasn't right. The room split. Heated arguments flared over rules, freedom, and what community really meant. As the debate raged, a startling revelation came out. An older gentleman named Mr. Sanchez quietly confessed that Alex wasn't the first to clash with the HOA. Several families had faced similar battles, quietly pressured into conformity or forced to sell. The HOA doesn't just enforce rules, Mr. Sanchez said softly. They enforce silence. They squash anyone who challenges the status quo. The room fell silent. Suddenly, the conflict wasn't just about a car anymore. It was about control, fear, and unspoken power struggles simmering beneath Willow Creek's pristine surface. Alex's mind raced. If others had been silenced, what chance did he have? And why was Diane Caldwell so ruthless in her pursuit? After the meeting, Alex found himself cornered by Mrs. Jennings, the elderly neighbor who had warned him earlier. You're stirring up things that have been buried for decades, she said, voice low. Be careful. The HOA isn't just a group of busybodies. They're a force. Alex nodded, a mix of fear and determination settling in. He wasn't just fighting for his car anymore. He was fighting for his right to be different, to stand his ground against a community that wanted uniformity above all else. That night, Alex noticed a flyer slipped under his door. It was anonymous, but the message was clear. Some things are better left untouched. Don't make enemies where none need be. As he stared at the note, the weight of the battle ahead pressed down on him. The neighborhood was divided, watching, waiting, and Alex had become the lightning rod for a conflict, far bigger than paint and metal. Days passed, but the tension in Willow Creek Estates only thickened. Alex felt like a man under siege. Every glance from a neighbor, every whispered conversation behind closed doors, deepened the growing divide. He knew he needed proof, something concrete to expose the HOA's aggressive campaign against him. So one late evening, after everyone else had gone to bed, Alex sat by his computer, meticulously reviewing the footage from his security cameras. Hours of video revealed a pattern. Late at night, a shadowy figure would creep down his street, pausing by his driveway to snap pictures of his car with a cell phone. The figure moved cautiously, but on one night, a camera caught a sharp glimpse of the person's face. A middle-aged man with a weathered expression. Alex's heart skipped. It was Mr. Grayson, the same HOA board member he'd seen lurking days earlier. The realization hit hard. This wasn't just about enforcing rules. Someone on the board was orchestrating a campaign to escalate the conflict. He decided to confront Diane Caldwell directly, hoping to force her hand. But before he could call her, a knock came at his door. Opening it, Alex found himself face to face with an unexpected visitor. Rachel, a woman from the neighborhood who rarely spoke at meetings. She looked nervous but determined. I heard what's happening, Rachel said quietly, and I want to help. Alex hesitated. Why? What do you know about the HOA? She glanced around before speaking. More than I should. Diane and the board have been hiding things for years, things that go beyond just car designs or lawn decorations. I've seen the lengths they'll go to keep control. Rachel revealed she had once been a member of the HOA board but resigned after clashing with Diane over their harsh tactics. I have documents, she said, pulling out a folder. Emails, minutes from meetings, and evidence of them planting. Complaints to intimidate residents who don't conform. Alex flipped through the papers, eyes widening. "This is exactly what I need," he said, the flicker of hope returning. Rachel warned him, "Be careful. They have allies everywhere, including some on the police force." Alex nodded grimly. "I'm ready for whatever comes next." Over the next few days, Rachel helped Alex gather more evidence, secretly recording phone calls and collecting testimonies from other intimidated neighbors who had long been too scared to speak. Together, they built a case that went far beyond the car dispute, exposing a web of manipulation, threats, and corruption within the HOA. But with the truth came danger. One night, Alex found his security camera smashed, a clear message that someone was watching and willing to escalate. Instead of backing down, Alex doubled down. He and Rachel strategized, preparing to bring the evidence to the local council and, if necessary, the media. But the real surprise came when Rachel revealed her own reason for stepping forward. Her family had once been forced out of Willow Creek after refusing to comply with Diane's demands. "This is personal for me," she said, "and I won't let them do it to you or anyone else." Alex felt a surge of gratitude and determination. He wasn't alone. The battle lines were drawn, alliances forming in the shadows. But as the stakes rose, Alex wondered, how deep did the HOA's influence really go? And was there anyone they couldn't reach? The air in Willow Creek Estates had become thick with tension, like the calm before a storm ready to break. Armed with Rachel's evidence and his own security footage, Alex felt a rare glimmer of hope. But he also knew this battle was far from over. The next HOA meeting was scheduled for Friday evening. Instead of the usual sterile gathering, it was shaping up to be a showdown. As Alex entered the community center, he was met with cold stares and murmurs. Diane Caldwell sat at the head of the table, flanked by the familiar faces of the board, stern, unyielding, ready to defend their grip on the neighborhood. Alex cleared his throat. "I have evidence that the HOA has been intimidating residents, fabricating complaints, and using the police to harass me unfairly." Gasps echoed around the room. Diane's eyes narrowed. "Those are serious accusations, Mr. Turner. Do you have proof?" He slid the folder across the table. "Emails, recordings, witness statements, including photos of Mr. Grayson surveilling my property without cause." Several board members exchanged uneasy glances. Rachel stepped forward, her voice steady. "This isn't just about a car anymore. It's about the community's right to live without fear." For a moment, silence reigned. Then Diane leaned in, voice low and controlled. "You think you can disrupt years of order with a few documents? The HOA exists to protect property values and peace." "But at what cost?" Alex shot back. "Your order is built on fear and control. People have been silenced, pushed out, and threatened." Suddenly, a man from the back of the room raised his hand. It was Mr. Sanchez, the quiet elder from the earlier meeting. "I've lived here 40 years, he said, voice cracking slightly. "I've seen neighbors disappear, homes change hands too fast. I never spoke because I feared retaliation. But this needs to stop." Murmurs of agreement swelled. Diane's face flushed with anger. "You're all being manipulated by one disgruntled homeowner trying to justify his rebellion." At that moment, the doors burst open. 2 police officers entered, carrying a sealed envelope. Diane's expression flickered with unease. The lead officer spoke. "We've reviewed the evidence and found irregularities in the HOA's complaint filings. Several reports were fabricated. The board is under investigation." A stunned silence filled the room. Alex felt a rush of vindication, but it was tempered by caution. Rachel leaned in and whispered, "This is just the beginning." As the meeting disbanded, Diane confronted Alex outside. Her voice was low but deadly. "You don't know what you've started. This neighborhood has secrets darker than a paint job." Alex met her gaze, unflinching. "I want to know everything." Days later, as Alex and Rachel dug deeper, they uncovered a hidden ledger records of HOA funds diverted to mysterious accounts, hush money paid to silence dissenters, and even strange connections to local officials. The scope of the corruption was staggering. But just as they were about to go public, Alex received a cryptic message. "Stop digging, or you'll regret it." The stakes were no longer just about a car. They were about survival. Alex glanced at his car, the same bold design that had sparked the fight, feeling the weight of the unseen war around him. The truth was out there, and this time, no one was backing down. The threats weighed heavily on Alex's mind, but fear was a luxury he couldn't afford. If anything, the cryptic message only steeled his resolve. He and Rachel agreed. This was the moment to expose everything. They arranged a meeting with a local investigative journalist known for uncovering corruption in small communities. The journalist listened intently as Alex laid out the evidence. Forged complaints, secret ledgers, intimidation tactics, even connections between the HOA and certain police officers. Within days, the story went public. Headlines screamed about the Willow Creek Estates HOA scandal, sending shockwaves through the neighborhood. The community was divided. Some rallied behind Alex and Rachel, praising their courage. Others defended Diane and the board, claiming the accusations were exaggerated or false. Meanwhile, Diane's influence began to crumble. The county launched a formal investigation. Board members resigned or vanished quietly. Police officers named in the report were reassigned or suspended. But just as Alex breathed a sigh of relief, a surprising figure stepped forward, a member of the HOA board who had remained silent until now. His name was James Lee, a quiet man, often overlooked but clearly observant. "I've been watching all this unfold," James said, "and there's something you don't know." He handed Alex a small flash drive. Alex plugged it in and gasped. The files revealed something unexpected. Documents showing that Diane Caldwell had been blackmailed by an unknown party to enforce her harsh policies. The ledger of diverted funds. They were paying off someone who held a deep secret about her past. The plot thickened. Before Alex could ask questions, his phone buzzed again with a new message. "Look closer at your neighbors. Not all enemies wear a badge or a suit." It dawned on him that the conflict wasn't just about him or Diane. It was about a hidden power playing puppeteer from the shadows. James offered his help, promising to uncover the real puppeteer pulling the strings behind the scenes. Together, Alex, Rachel, and James prepared to delve deeper, knowing the battle for Willow Creek Estates was far from over. But one thing was certain: Alex's car, the AI, one that sparked this entire war, had become a symbol of resistance, a beacon for anyone willing to fight conformity and secrecy. As the sun set over the neighborhood, Alex looked at his car, its bright design now glowing in the fading light. The war had changed him, and the community. But it had also opened a door to truth. The question was, would they be ready to walk through it?